I found my wife's secret ChatGPT history where she was getting help sexting multiple men, and what I discovered about her double life destroyed everything we built together. For 6 years I thought I had the perfect marriage. We bought our dream house just 6 months ago, spent every penny of our savings renovating it, making it our forever home, and I believed we were finally rebuilding after some rough patches 2 years back. She was the mother of our 5-year-old daughter, my partner in everything, the woman I trusted completely. And every morning I'd wake up thinking about how lucky I was to have found someone who understood me so deeply. But 3 months ago something shifted. She started pulling away from me physically, rejecting my advances night after night, and when I'd try to talk about it she'd brush me off saying nothing was wrong. Her eyes would dart away from mine, she'd find excuses to stay up late on her laptop, and the warmth that used to fill our bedroom turned cold and distant. I kept telling myself it was just stress from the new house, the mortgage payments, maybe work pressure. But deep down I felt this gnawing sensation that something fundamental had changed. Then one evening after I pushed for answers again, she looked at me with this detached expression and said she didn't see the point in continuing our relationship, that we were more like friends now. The words hit me like a physical blow because this exact same thing had happened 2 years ago, and back then I'd worked so hard to win her back. I'd changed everything about myself. We'd gone on romantic holidays to 2 different countries, bought this house together, created what I thought was a stronger foundation, but here we were again, and I felt like I was drowning in my own living room. A few days later, barely speaking to each other, I begged her to try one more time. She agreed. We had this long conversation about what we both needed, made promises to work harder, and I actually felt hopeful again. But then my friend called me, said he'd seen her getting dropped off by a van a few streets from our house, couldn't see who was driving. And when I confronted her about it she looked me straight in the eye and said she had no idea what I was talking about. Her face was so calm, so convincing, that I almost believed her. The following Tuesday she went to her usual course, texted me saying she had an exam and would be home around 10 p.m., but when she returned she said she'd gone for drinks with a female friend instead. And that night for the first time in months she initiated intimacy with me. I thought maybe this was the breakthrough we needed, maybe she was finally coming back to me. Maybe our marriage was healing. But 2 days later I noticed a £33 charge on our joint account from an online doctor. I had no idea what it could be, so I actually asked ChatGPT what that kind of charge usually meant, and it said it was most likely for a morning after pill. The next day, taking out the trash, I found the empty morning after pill package in our bin. My hands started shaking as I held it. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears, and I felt this sick cold realization washing over me. Everything suddenly made sense. The rejection, the distance, the mysterious van, the late night, the sudden intimacy. She'd been with someone else and then came home to me. When I confronted her she claimed it wasn't hers, said it belonged to her friend who drives her to the course, but her voice was shaking, her eyes wouldn't meet mine, and I told her to call that friend right now and confirm it or we were done. She refused, saying she promised not to tell, so I said we're getting divorced. The words came out of my mouth before I could stop them, but I meant every syllable. We started filing for divorce online the next day. This house we'd put everything into, our entire savings, our dreams. Neither of us could afford it alone with the £280,000 mortgage. It was a complete financial disaster, but while we were doing the paperwork I noticed she was using ChatGPT on her laptop, logged into her account, and I could see search history related to morning after pills. My stomach dropped even further. That night after she went to bed and I was lying on the couch, I opened her laptop and looked through her ChatGPT history. What I found over the next 3 hours completely shattered whatever was left of my world. I took photos of everything with my hands trembling. She had been chatting with multiple men, sexting them, planning meetups, talking about FaceTiming while I was at work. There were at least 4 regular contacts plus others. She was using ChatGPT to help her rephrase messages in English and craft replies to these men. She wrote about having unprotected sex with different men, sometimes multiple in the same day, talking about men finishing inside her and asking whether she should take morning after pills. She mentioned having sex 2 days ago and planning to do it again, all while coming home to me and our daughter every night, kissing me goodnight, sitting at our dinner table like a loving wife and mother. I sat there in the dark scrolling through months of betrayal, realizing that throughout our entire relationship she'd made me feel like I was the problem, like I wasn't enough, like I needed to change and improve, when really she was living this complete double life. I felt destroyed, angry, numb, and completely lost, not knowing where to even start. Emotionally, legally, or financially. Especially here in the UK where court costs are astronomical and we have nothing left to fight over except debt and a house neither of us can afford. Now I'm trying to figure out how to process this betrayal, how to protect myself legally when we've spent all our savings on this house, how to stay strong for our 5-year-old daughter who doesn't understand why daddy is sleeping on the couch, and how to rebuild my life from the ashes of everything I thought was real. The hardest part is knowing that while I was working every day to provide for our family, coming home excited to see her, she was planning her next encounter with strangers, and I'll never be able to trust anyone the same way again. Here are some comments from the community and OP's responses. Comment 1, Lawyer. Yesterday. OP's response: I have been to a one-time fee lawyer and he didn't say anything that I didn't know. We recently bought a house and we spend almost all of our savings. She thinks that she just can kick me from the house and stay there, but we have around $280,000 mortgage and our salaries are not large enough to keep the house alone. Here in the UK if you go to court it's very expensive and we don't have anything to fight for like a lot of savings or businesses. Comment 2, maybe it's real maybe it isn't. He claims he used AI because of his English. Sorry, but for me personally the way the world is, I'm not willing to engage an AI bot. Not saying for sure this is an AI. OP's response: really I can assure you everything is real and I don't know what kind of imagination you need to think of something like this. That it was easier for me to write everything there.